וגם אני פתאום רואה את הקולות.
And welcome back to another episode of Kolot. This is your host, Rabbi Hillel Kappenstein, director of the Columbus Community Kollel, and it's a great honor and privilege to welcome all of you back to our next episode featuring Rabbi Dan Roth. You may recall that a few episodes ago, we did something called God's Reason for the Internet with Shimon Kol Yaakov, founder of TorahAnytime.com, and we got to see how anything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates, there's a way to use it for the good, there's a way to use it for the bad. And that's exactly what we're going to discuss today with Rabbi Roth. You're going to learn about what he's done, what he created, and how he uses it for the positive. So stay tuned. I think you'll enjoy this episode very, very much. To sponsor a Kolot episode, email me, sponsorkolot@gmail.com. Once again, that is sponsorkolot@gmail.com. And without any further ado, allow me to tell you about our guest. Rabbi Dan Roth believes there is nothing more exciting than Torah wisdom and is devoting his life to bringing that excitement to Jews around the world. A revolutionary educator, he is the founder and director of Torah Live, an organization that creates multimedia presentations and teaching resources on both halachic and hashkafic topics. Raised in London, Rabbi Roth is a graduate of the Mir Yeshiva and received smicha from the chief rabbinate of Israel. While teaching at Or Sameach, he recognized the need for making Torah relevant to our youth, and thus Torah Live was born. Rabbi Roth now spends most of his time script writing, filming, and traveling the world to inspire individuals and educators in how to utilize today's technology to engage people in the beauty and relevance of Torah in our lives. Rabbi Dan Roth, thank you so much for joining Kolot.
What a pleasure to be here over here now.
So, as a way of introduction, can you please share with us a little bit about yourself, your background and upbringing?
Sure, grew up in London, went to Hasmonean. After high school, came to Israel to learn at Keren B'Yavneh. Planned just to stay a year, turned into 2 years, turned to 3 years, and now it's 30 plus years. After 2 years in the KBY, I went to the Mir, got into learning halacha, wrote a book on Pirkei Avos, and started teaching in Or Sameach about 15 years ago. And that's how Torah Live was born.
Wow. So before we get into Torah Live for a second, can you please share with us maybe some of your influences, some of your mentors, Rebbeim, who helped shape you, who you are today?
Sure. Rabbi Yitzchak Berkowitz is my Rebbe, the Rav of Torah Live. All the Pesach goes through him. I've asked him hundreds, probably thousands of questions over the years. And he had an immense influence on me. I'm happy to share with you more about him and his belief in this whole technology game piece. And then, of course, with Reuven Leuchter, who I was able to be I'm very close with, and he had a tremendous impact on myself and my family, Baruch Hashem.
So you mentioned Torah Live, and I presume that's your baby. That is your full-time gig, what you live
full-time plus.
Full-time plus. So why don't we dive in? Let's get into it. What is Torah Live?
Torah Live harnesses Hollywood-level graphics and video to give a passion and love for Torah and mitzvahs to our generation.
And how do you do that?
First of all, check it out, TorahLive.com. It's all the videos available. How do we do that? We have a whole team of 52 script writers and sound designers and After Effects and producers, directors, videographers, programming team, and trying to use the very language that kids today are absorbing information, and use that very language to show them the beauty and the sweetness of Torah and mitzvahs. So every halach, every hashkafa, that's my dream, my vision, to translate every good character trait, every important hashkafa into this language. We've done 62 courses to date, which altogether comes to hundreds of videos, but it's a drop in the ocean compared to what needs to be done.
And how did this all get started? What's your inception story?
Siyata Dishmaya, from A to Z. I was teaching, as I mentioned, in Or Sameach. I was very excited about Pirkei Avos. I spent 3 years of my life writing this book about Pirkei Avos. I gave this class to a group of post-high school teenagers who were from birth, but seriously turned off Judaism to the extent that they were either on drugs, coming off drugs, social issues, psychological issues. The only real requirement to get into this program in Ohr Somayach was that they couldn't get into any other program in Israel. And I had the challenge of teaching them, and I gave them a regular class, standing in front, traditional teaching methods. Disaster. They're walking out the room. They were texting each other. Total disinterest in a word I had to say. And I remember tossing and turning, not being able to fall asleep. I had 5 kids at home. This was my first time trying to step out of Kolot and into the big world and, get a job. And it was a disaster, nightmare. What's going to be about my parnasa? How am I going to manage? And in retrospect, that worst day of my life turned out to be the biggest blessing, because Hashem opened up for me a whole new world. And he made me realize I'm talking the wrong language. I'm talking how I was taught when I was a boy back in Hasmonean in the day. But I got to get with the turf. I got to get, on their bandwidth and communicate on their, on their means of communication. So I dabbled in some software and multimedia, and it was a miracle. The same kids who weren't interested in traditional teaching methods were suddenly mesmerized and begging for more. And this is, really cool. And it wasn't this rabbi from antiquity. It was rather someone who, they can relate to and they felt very connected to. So that was the beginning. It wasn't Torah Live back then. It was just Dan Roth trying to keep his day job in Ohr Somayach. But that was the beginning of this shefa of bracha that Hashem has sent down. Thank God.
I want to double click on something. A few episodes ago, we did an interview with Rabbi Shimon Russell of CSW entitled Raising a Loving Family. And he talked about something called learning trauma. People could disconnect from Judaism, from Yiddishkeit, from Torah learning, if they have learning disabilities and learning challenges that kind of set them apart. Is that kind of what you were seeing, and maybe you're teaching it in this very out-of-the-box way kind of spoke to them and really gave them a second chance?
Yeah, for sure. I think you really, hit the nail on the head. That was definitely the profile of these kids. But what was amazing to me is that even though it started off in this very select group of kids with learning difficulties, what I soon realized is that once Torah is presented in an exciting way, who doesn't want to get excited about the most beautiful thing in the world? So even though, yes, it was made for what we'll call off the derech kids, it soon became a presentation I was giving. I was traveling in the world, giving it to regular balabatim. I flew to Toronto, flew to London, and just giving this multimedia presentation, which, yes, was born in this incubator of these learning challenged kids. But I soon realized that this is something that really speaks globally to everybody.
Can you tell us some of the hardships in starting this revolutionary way of Torah learning?
Well, definitely at the beginning, there was, groups from the more right that weren't comfortable with this new, let's call it, teaching method. But over the years, I am seeing that as time goes on, even people who, were against this medium are realizing that if we like it or not, this is how kids are absorbing information. I mean, just look around, walk in the street, see how, you're in the taxi and you right away get this screen. You're in the bank, you're in the post office. It's like all around us. And so even those groups that were at the beginning very hesitant are, coming around and realizing this is the way that everybody's absorbing information. And rather than run away and hope that it goes away, which isn't happening, let's be real and harness it instead of trying to ignore it.
And is there a specific group, a specific sect of people that join and listen to Torah Live, or does it have broad appeal? And if it has broad appeal, how do you do that?
That's a real challenge, because at the moment I'm making one size fits all for all of all the Jewish people, which is definitely a challenge. Modern Orthodox, definitely the most open to using technology. So they are our biggest clients, but it's being used, I have Haredi Sheba Haredi on one side, and I have even pluralistic and conservative and reform and unaffiliated Jews that are enjoying it as well.
Wow.
But yeah, moving forward, that is definitely something that we need a bit of tweaking, maybe a Kirov track, maybe a Beis Yaakov track, and it's very, very challenging to make one size fits all. You can never get it right. Is it brachot or is it brachas? Is it other in the teenagers' room, do they have baseball stickers behind the star, or is it Gedolim stickers? It's you can never really hit it right. But I hope that people realize that as many stripes and backgrounds of Jews, and at the end of the day, we're all part of one nation, all brothers and sisters, and I hope Torah Live in its current state of having one size fits all can be appreciated and actually contribute to the diversity and that Jewish unity that really joins us all together.
So it sounds like there's a balancing act over here. If you would agree, I'm sure you would agree to that. Can you tell us some of the things you do to walk that tightrope?
In the newest film, our Chesed series, is called Live to Give. So there's three main characters: Simcha, Baruch, and Yair. And one of them has a suede kippah, so the modern Orthodox connect. One has a knitted kippah, so that Mizrahi and Dati Leumi can connect, and another of the main characters has a black kippah, a white shirt. So I'm trying to make everybody happy.
Not easy. Well, we definitely appreciate that here on Kolot. The mission of our podcast is to have many voices and to try to pick up on share meaning, share values, to spread to everyone. So I could definitely appreciate that. Can you share with us some great filming stories?
So there's a whole crew behind me. I get to sit here and talk about it, but there's 52 people on the team. And we have a production manager, Sharon Katz, whose job it is to audition not just men and women for our actors and actresses, but even bunny rabbits. In our Power of Speech, there was one scene that I needed to hold my abracadabra magic wand, and out of a hat came a bunny rabbit. So Sharon interviewed many bunny rabbits. Some are fluffier, some are gray, some are white, some are friendlier, until she found just the right one. But on set, this bunny rabbit just did not want to listen to the cue and jump out of the hat at the right time. So we tried lettuce, and we tried all kinds of tricks until we had no choice but just to, turn the hat over and, push it out. Lots of fun stories for our Tcheles video. So I went scuba diving. I had myself, a madrich, my cameraman, Sasha Gorev, in the scuba gear, and he also had a madrich. So it's all four of us trying to find the Murex trunculus, the alleged Tcheles snail. And I'll let you into a secret over here. We had to plant it because obviously on set, when you're filming, you can't afford to take the risk to just happen by the Tcheles Murex trunculus as you want it. So we had to set it up beforehand. I've been sailing on yachts, for the traveling series about Tfilas Haderech. Ribis, there's one scene where we had to act out a man drowning. Cameraman had to get in his swimming trunks and go in, get that shot. Lots of fun and games.
So this is pretty sophisticated, to put it lightly, perhaps.
Yeah, this is not like a talking head yeshivish. This is, as close as I can get to Hollywood level graphics.
And why do you want to be like Hollywood?
That's the competition that we're up against. In other words, if we really stand a chance of grabbing the attention of the youth today, and this is what they're exposed to. So if it's just one guy and a camera and it's just a talking head, that's not really going to mesmerize our audience. My aim is to get kids to love and enjoy learning from Torah Live to the extent that they're begging their parents or teachers, please teach me more. Jim Kappenstein, your uncle, a good friend from LA, wrote to me that his kids beg him to be able to watch Torah Live, and he once wrote a sweet email how he works for Disney, and we had to negotiate with them that if they get in pajamas on time, then a special treat, they can watch Torah Live. I mean, when was the last time, Hillel, that kids are begging their father, please let me watch more? And it's only when we do it at this very high quality, sophisticated level that we get these results. Otherwise, kids are like, turn to something else. So this is what we're up against. The street out there is exciting, and the way to battle that excitement is to show them that we have just as much, if not more, excitement in our heritage and our Judaism.
So you have to be competitive. You have to be relevant, I guess.
Yeah. Rabbi Berkowitz, my Rebbe, once said in a shir that it used to be you could insulate your families back in the shtetl in Poland. Maybe you could protect from the outside world, but that's just not possible nowadays. We live in such a society where it seeps in, as you're walking down the street, as you see billboards, as I said, going to the post office in a taxi, it's everywhere, this medium. So it's not really possible anymore to insulate. And the only way to battle that is to show them we have something equal, and not just equal, but far higher and more meaningful and more beautiful. So this is the playing field, if we like it or not.
So this is really out of the box. This is really fascinating, and where everyone could check out these videos, you said, is TorahLive.com.
Yeah, sure. Sign up for hundreds of videos. Bursting of the seams is more, we're aiming for one new video a week. Recently we came out with individuality and Eretz Yisrael, and as I said, this whole Chesed series and music, and it's much more than what kids are learning at school. Maybe classically it used to be the brachos, kashrus, Shabbos topics which kids learn at school, but my vision is far broader than that. I want to show children the breadth of Judaism, the hofach ba, the kulaba, that there's no subject in the world that Judaism doesn't address, and there's no area of their life that they don't have something to be proud of and to tap into this glorious source of wisdom.
So if you, as you say, are competing with Hollywood, so to speak, I'm sure there's got to be a lot of questions specifically as it relates to hashkafa. Can you share with us some of those dilemmas and how you deal with it?
Yeah, you want to drill down, be a bit more specific?
The idea of using technology comes with it. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it could be very helpful, very powerful, and I'm among them. I use technology, not all of it, but I definitely use a lot of it. But I myself see the inherent dangers, and it's kind of hard to make sure that you're balancing it right, and you have to put up all these safety precautions. And to be frank, it's not been good. Technology has not been helpful for relationships, for marriages in particular. Social media has been a killer, specifically with teenagers on TikTok. I mean, we could go on and on what it's done to people's physical, or let's say mental health. So technology comes with it, this tremendous double-edged sword. So talk to us a little bit of how you balance that and try to make sure that we're sticking to the good juices of technology.
Well, let me answer. Thank you for clarifying. Let me answer that question on two fronts: the bigger picture, and then the practical, issues that you bring up quite correctly. So on the bigger front, again, Tukura Berkovitz, the president of Torah Live and my Rebbe, says the Torah Bereshis Bar Elokim, and Rashi comments Bereshis Bishvil HaTorah Shenikra Reshis Bishvil Yisrael Shenikra Reshis, which means that everything God created in the universe is ultimately for spreading Torah, for teaching Jews about how to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if HaKadosh Baruch Hu created 3D graphics and animation and creativity and cartoons and all the visual tools that our generation is privy to enjoy, that is ultimately to spread HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Torah. Kol ma shebar HaKadosh Baruch Hu le'borer lechavoda. It's there to glorify Hashem and His Torah, and it should be harnessed to do that. In fact, Rabbi Berkovitz says that if we don't bother to take advantage and we simply ignore it, so then it's like someone gives you a gift and you just say, I'm not interested. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this, and it's our obligation to use it for good things. That's on the global scale. On the practical side, what you're saying about the filters and everything, for sure, I'm not, or Rabbi Berkovitz neither are saying to not install filters and to put the right barriers, and obviously we're aware of all the negative sides, but that doesn't mean just because the negative side exists that we should not, as much as possible, try and take advantage. Chazal say that Moshe Rabbeinu on several occasions didn't have clarity how to make the menorah or what the split hooves look like, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says Kazera, this is, and he showed them visually, and from here the Maharal and others say that there's an advantage to actually seeing something. That's what I'm trying to do. The the kivun of Torah Live, the direction is to give extra clarity, so many complex halachas or so many topics in character development that kids just would not be interested in learning. They're not going to open up the Mesilas Yesharim and learn about how to overcome laziness or to how to do mitzvahs with more enthusiasm. But yeah, they fight to watch Rabbi Siddur, lovable cartoon character, entertain them and educate them at the same time. So I'm only talking about the positive and pushing it, but Chas v'Shalom, I'm not saying there's efkerus and there's no negative side. I personally in my family and everybody I speak to always have to keep this balance that exists.
Sure. Do you have any recent collaborations with any other organizations?
Yeah, I think the most exciting one is El Al. You can now fly from New York to Tel Aviv and throughout the entire flight enjoy El Al traditional channel where Torah Live is featured. We gave them 3 hours worth originally of footage and they loved it so much. Now they have 11 hours and 40 minutes. People sending me pictures of their kids watching it and enjoying it, and all kinds of people discovering it that never knew about it before on El Al. OU recently created a page, a Taste of Torah Live, and they have a bunch of our videos there, and they sent it out to their tens of thousands of subscribers. Tovido, 24/6, Yidflix, Torah Anytime, these are Aish.com, these are some of the other platforms that have some of our videos. But definitely partnering, getting the word out there is what it's all about.
So I like that. You're not going solo. You're partnering, collaborating, and holding hands, joining forces. Oh,
for sure. In fact, when I started, I had no intention of creating Torah Live. I couldn't wish for anything more than just being swallowed up by the big organizations. If it's the Torah Masoy or whatever the other organizations are, and just working for them. I had no, my love, my real passion is the creativity, learning up the topics, thinking how we're going to give this over to the Jewish people in a creative, out the box way. But all the admin and everything else, technical, running an organization, I really it's not my thing. And I dreamt at the beginning of just working for another organization, but I soon realized that big organizations, like big ships, they don't just swerve and turn quickly. They have their own mission, and unless their mission is to use and harness technology to teach Torah, so it's not an easy fit. And I eventually came to the realization that if I'm going to do this, I have to set up shop. But at the same time I'm setting up shop, I'm always trying to speak to every other Jewish organization and partner and work together.
So I'm sure every video you've done is your favorite, as everyone says. I could say the same. Every episode Kolot has done is my favorite. But after that, can you share with us some of your highlights, some of the things that really got you excited? I know that's all of them, but if you could just cherry pick a few, can you share with us?
Yeah, I'm so happy you asked. I like your questions, Rabbi Hillel. So the one I'm most passionate about is the one that it's hard to believe, but I've been actually working on for 5 years. It's our biggest, most ambitious project yet. And the question that it's coming to answer is, how can we engage kids? How can we get them excited about life, waking up in the morning energized and happy to live and breathe and have another day to exist? And it's amazing that on the one hand, we live in a generation that has more comforts and luxuries than ever before in Jewish history. The average level of living is higher than it was ever before. And yet with all that, we're seeing unprecedented levels of depression and anxiety and stress, and kids being so restless and fidgety. And the question that this new film tries to answer is, how can we get the next generation of kids to be, as I said, excited about living? And obviously I don't hope to solve all the world's issues with one product, but I believe that if kids were more tapped into giving and dedicated to chesed, not just like opening the door for somebody or telling somebody the time, but passionate. I'm talking about being fanatics for chesed on the level that Avraham Avinu was, somebody who was oozing with Avas Yisrael, people who are Moser Nefesh, who are prepared to go through physical pain to help others, that if we can get kids to really tap in deeply to this level of giving, then it's just so freeing, and it's just so invigorating. I don't have to describe to you, Rabbi Hillel, that feeling that you get when you give to somebody. It just touches you at a level deeper than any physical pleasure or comfort can touch you. And the reason is because we are all formed in the image of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Hashem is the ultimate giver, right? Infinite beings don't lack anything. The creation of the universe, of the world, is Olam Chesed Yiboneh. It was just purely giving, and that's why when we give, we connect to the source of who we are. We are each a chelek Elokei Ha'olam. We each have a spark, so to speak, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when we give, we tap into that deepest level of connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so this film hopes not just to teach about Chesed, but to create a revolution of Chesed and to create a whole movement of giving. And I'm happy to show you a little clip here or there if you're interested, and I could talk more about it. But definitely,
sure,
that is by far the most exciting project on the burners today.
For sure. And is that something that's already been released and published, or it's still in the makings?
It's still in the making, although you can see on one of the courses, we have a whole course dedicated to behind the scenes. And for Kolot viewers only, I'm happy to share just the 2 minutes of 7 episodes. So it's 40 minutes times 7 episodes, about 280 minutes. And I can just show you 60 seconds just to show you a snippet of the quality of the work if you're interested.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's a little background to what you're going to see. These 3 main characters, Simcha, Baruch, and Yair, they form a team whose mission is to teach the world about giving, and they produce content which eventually makes it to Times Square, New York, and thousands of people around the world see and are impacted and influenced by. And what I'm going to show you over here is a spoof of the fancy car ad. Those advertisements that promise you, buy this car and you'll be happy, life will be good. Well, imagine what an ad would look like if Torah values were being pumped out through ads.
Wow.
Let me share a screen with you.
So for those listening, you might want to check out the YouTube video and watch this, and you will be fascinated by Rabbi Roth's presentation.
You know that life is short, so you live yours to the fullest. That's why there are a lot of things that you do. And that's why we built a car to help out. Introducing the truth that the real value of the things you have doesn't depend on how fancy they are. It depends on how you use them.
There'll be a dedicated website called Live to Give where kids will be encouraged to upload what we call chesed hacks, which is creative, original ways to do chesed. And it's a film about these 3 teenagers creating a movement, because we realize if we want the next generation, the kids, to create a movement, let's create a film where those kids can see other kids that they relate to create such a movement and hopefully be inspired to do the same.
And walk us through what you're hoping will be the outcome of that. I know you talked about people feeling good about giving, but they'll feel good in the moment. What are you looking to, hopefully see in the long term?
Right. I'm looking for kids to make this a way of life, to have what I call chesed eyes. The Chavetz Chaim writes, he quotes the pasuk in the Novi Micha that says, Ma Hashem lekecha shor mimcha ki'im la'asos mishpat va'ahavas chesed. What does God expect from us if not to do goodness, mishpat, and to love chesed? And the Chavetz Chaim draws attention to this change of verbs, that when it's talking about kindness, he's talking about loving kindness, not just doing kindness, it's loving kindness. In other words, what the Chavetz Chaim is teaching us over here is that it's not just to do chesed, we have to be searching. Like Avraham Avinu was pained by the fact that he couldn't do chesed. It was the 3rd day of his milah. There was no guests around. Why was he pained? There's no chesed to be done. Chesed only starts if there's someone who needs chesed, if there's, wayfarers, there's people who are walking by who need hospitality. But as Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky asks, if there are no people on the street that need chesed done to them, there's nothing to be upset about, right? It's like being upset today on a Monday that it's not Shabbos and I can't light Shabbos candles. That's absurd. If it's Shabbos and I don't have the means, I don't have the candles, the wine to make Kiddush, okay, I understand it's a frustration because the mitzvah exists, but something is holding me back from doing that mitzvah. But if it's Monday, there's no mitzvah of Shabbos. Why would we be upset it's not Shabbos today? So why was Avraham upset that there was no chesed to be done if there's no one who needs chesed? Explains Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky that chesed is different. Chesed is something that should be who you are. It's your very personality. It's your essence. Is that you're just bursting that you want to help others, and that's the bar that we're trying to set. Kids who are prepared to sacrifice things if that's what it takes, because they're inspired by our avos and imois. Consider, Rachel, how she gave the signs to her sister Leah, even though it effectively meant that she's going to have she's going to have another woman in her married life. Because why? She cared so much for other people. That's what we're trying to achieve over here. Kids who have these chesed eyes. The way I picture it is, a fighter pilot. So he has the sophisticated helmet where he sees everything that one usually sees, if it's the distance to the tank or how much gas is left. But overlaid on the HUD is also extra information, right? And we want to create children have these chesed eyes. As they're walking down the street, they see, oh, here's the opportunity to smile, to say a good word. If you're in school and there's a seat next to you and there's a kid who's new to the class, you can offer him chesed eyes, or applying it to adults. If we're walking out the supermarket and we see that everybody's trying to find that parking place and we know that we're about to pull out, chesed eyes, you see, oh, let me go over to that person. Let me tell them you can sit over here. So many opportunities. So it's a whole different level of giving. As I said, it's really people who are fanatics, as I said, for chesed, like Avraham and all the avos and imois.
So you're trying to tap in deep and make this a way of life, not just an inspiration, not just like a warm and fuzzy feeling. You're really trying to...
Right. The film will just be a springboard for a whole movement. You're talking about partnering. You partnered with the OU, helped by Simon Taylor, who are excited to roll this out and be part of it. In England, we partnered with Gift. We're trying to set up around the world screenings. If you want your shul or your community to be part of these worldwide screenings, then please contact me. And we have swag. We're going to have these like chesed eye glasses that kids will be able to get. In the film, Ari Goldwag has written a theme song called Live to Give. The kids in the film will be wearing these Live to Give wristbands. The kids in the real world will be able to get. We want to pilot with schools to roll it out, with rabbonim of shuls. We want to pilot with, we want to make initiatives that mothers can download with ideas, what they can do with their kids. Take them to the toy store, buy beautiful toys and go together with your kids to deliver them to hospitals, to the needy kids. We want to make this a new modus operandi. And I find so comforting and inspiring that Chazal say that the future Geula is going to come in the merit of Chesed, and especially in these 3 weeks. We know we're mourning the Beis HaMikdash, and the Chavetz Chaim says that the Beis HaMikdash cannot be rebuilt until we eradicate the very sin that was the cause of the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. We know that sinach chinom, a lack of love towards our fellow Jew, was the cause of that. So this is something that's obviously pertinent for now, these 3 weeks, and also Mitzvah Hashem, for the future redemption.
Would it be fair to say that you're trying to create a culture here?
Yeah, I recently asked Berkowitz if I have to be careful. In the past, he's told me when people have asked me to highlight specific mitzvahs, and he said you have to be very careful, because what happens to any organization that when they highlight one mitzvah and make it their banner, so everybody kind of sticks in their minds, oh, that's the organization, that's their pet topic, and they become, unfortunately, maybe irrelevant. And with other mitzvahs that people have asked me to use Torah Live's worldwide reach to push, and Berkowitz told me if I do that, it has to be done through a separate organization, because he didn't want Torah Live to be associated specifically with any one mitzvah. And when I asked him recently, hey, Rebbe, what about Chesed? Am I getting too carried away? Maybe that warning that you gave me should also apply to Chesed. He said, no, Chesed is different. This is a core value. This is one of the three things that the world stands on, and it's we don't have to be worried about that. And it's so many different aspects to it. To love your fellow Jew as we love ourselves. The Ramban explains that we have to get rid of any small-mindedness that keeps us back from wanting for our fellow exactly that same level of success that we want for ourselves. Typically, he says, I don't mind if my friend is popular, as long as when it comes to intelligence, I have one up on him. I don't mind if he's also intelligent. When it comes to wealth, I want to hold like some lure over him. We tend to want to, keep for ourselves some area that we're above everybody else. And the Ramban explains, no, but means that just like when it comes to my life, I want to enjoy happiness and family and friends and health and everything good. So too, without any limitations, we should want that for our fellow. Imagine, what a society would look like when we are all walking, personifications of that. What a beautiful world, what a utopian world that will be. So yeah, it's a biggie.
This is a biggie. Can you share with us some statistics, analytics about your users? How many, where are they? And, some of the numbers that you're really proud of.
Everything's from above. So I get sensitive when you say proud of. It's just a big gift of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Siyata D'Shemaya. 1.3 million hours of content are enjoyed on Torah Live. We have about 130,000 unique visitors that have come to our site in the last year, and getting about over 100,000 pieces of content a month. But that's just from our site. It's very hard to really get the stats because, as I said, we're on 24/6 and Yidflix and Tavido and Torah Anytime and Aish, and Chabad had our stuff. So and Elal. So I don't have all the statistics, but those are just some of the numbers that I would throw around. And for me, the most heartwarming impact really isn't the hard numbers. It's seeing how it's touched people's lives. Kids who say it's changed their davening, or people come over to me, and it's really the impact that it's had that is most meaningful. And if you want to go to TorahLive.com, there's a whole page where kids actually upload their own submissions. In other words, after a child has watched the Torah Live video, we say, okay, now it's your turn to create something. So you've learned about honoring parents. Great. Now act out how you want to give more nachas, more pleasure to your parents, and upload it to us. You've learned about emunah, about life. Talk about what you want your friends to say about you when you're 8 years old, and upload it to us. And for me, that's the most heartwarming page. Again, if I can share my screen, I'm happy to show that to you. But it's hundreds and hundreds of submissions of kids, actually sharing how they have been affected. Just a few weeks ago, we put up a new course about not taking revenge. Within a few days, kids were sharing stories how, Yoni Leibovic said he was on his bike and a kid pushed him, and instead of his natural instinct, which was to, lash out at him, because you're inspired by the not taking revenge video, he overcame that and he shared that story. So it's the real stories. It's real seeing how kids have been touched. That for me is the most impressive aspect of Torah Live.
We want more Torah Live videos.
Why don't we? Let's do that. Can you share a screen? And
okay. It'll take me a minute to put it up. For sure.
Watchers, our viewers, see in real time what you're talking about.
So here we are on TorahLive.com, and if you go to the courses page, so these are the different courses, and each course has many, many different elements. So let me just give you a quick tour. Whenever you see this red circle, that means it's actual content piece. Whenever you see the blue circle, that's behind the scenes. You get to see the secrets, how we animated, how we made it all happen. This purple is the challenge, where, as I said, Rabbi Sida gives the kids something that they have to create. And then if you head over to the challenges page, this is where all the submissions are happening. So BFF challenge, that's be a friend challenge. You talk about what you can do to be a better friend. After you watch the individuality course, you can talk about what you see as something unique to you, which is a topic very close to my heart. This is the Asher Yotzar, Find Wisdom in Creation. Kids learn about the Niflos HaBeireh, about the beauty in Hashem's world, and they're asked to look out for their own places that they see HaKadosh Baruch Hu's infinite wisdom. Here, this is the Yoni Lebovic story that I was showing you about not taking revenge. So reframing, that's for the anger course. Kids are asked to talk about how they reframe the situation, not to get angry. And this is the challenges page.
Wow, definitely looks like there's a lot of engagement here.
Yeah, and of course there's games as well. Whenever you see this little icon, it means a game. Then you have a video quiz, and you have a story. This one is from Rabbi Dr. Abraham Twersky, a favorite story of mine as a child about the stone cutter. And kids get points, and they get avatars, and they can even earn dinarim. If we go to the dashboard, you can see that each child gets a badge when they've done and accomplished something. They can earn this virtual coin called a dinar that they then redeem in our impact store, where through partnerships that we've set up with other non-for-profits, they can actually execute a mitzvah. So they've learned about honoring parents. They can send flowers to an elderly person, someone who's alone, or they've learned about mezuzah. They can actually gift a mezuzah to a Baal Tshuva family. We've partnered with mezuzah. So through partnering with other organizations, a child can really, gift somebody with a pair of tzitzis or a pair of tefillin or big brother mentoring or all kinds of things in the mentor. So that's this section over here. And then there's different levels and how many points they have and how many points the next level. And parents can actually set up an account for each of their children. So these are my kids. Each one has their own profile, their own avatar. And I can see Moshe Aaron has earned, 1,444 points. And what was the last thing that he watched? And I can send them a message, and it's pretty sophisticated.
Wow. Incredible. Really incredible. Lots of good stuff, and nothing, it's fair to say that nothing amazing happens without its tough moments. Can you share with us some of the hiccups you may have experienced throughout this incredible journey?
Well, it's definitely been a learning experience for me, so many different skills, if it's software development and public speaking or fundraising. Many new areas of my life have been opened up to me through this journey, this quest. The biggest challenge is the fundraising. It's a huge budget, and where it's a kind of project that when people see it, they realize, wow, this is really cool. This is not just another school or a koil. This is definitely unique. But for me, just getting the meetings is the hardest, because, as you know, everyone's bombarded, and people just don't have the headspace for another project, and I don't blame them. But when they do see it, they often fall in love and want their kids to watch it or their grandchildren to watch it and to sponsor. That's one of the biggest hurdles is the funding.
Wow. And in closing, can you tell us, what have you learned about script writing? I know that this is a lot. Not just a lot, this is a huge part, is like the narrative and the script. Yeah. So what have you learned about that?
Yeah, it's a whole world that I didn't realize how sophisticated and complex it was. I remember this Live to Give, the Chesed series, when Elchanan Shnor, our scriptwriter, sent me a draft, and he had every few paragraphs these little subheadings, double false conflict one, and in a battle, all these different keywords. I didn't know what they were, and I asked him about it, and he explained to me there's a whole science in crafting a script with different arcs and emotional development, and it was fascinating. It opened my eyes to see what goes into writing a script. And if I had to sum it up, basically the secret to any good script is conflict. That you see the main character and you see there's some inner battle, some challenge, some pain point that the star, the actor, the actress is having, and through the film there's a transformation, there's a change. The main character overcomes some hurdle, and without those elements of transformation and change, there's really no story. And I started reflecting on that and trying to think, why is it that that's what speaks to us in film? And if you analyze any film, any good film that you've been to, you'll see that it has that arc in it. And I realized that really the reason why that speaks to us is because we see in ourselves that inner conflict. Each of us in our lives have different areas, different challenges, things that we wish just, if only it wasn't there, my life would be so easy if that person or, this hurdle wasn't there. And what speaks to us in the film is that we connect on a personal level with that inner struggle of the character. And really, if you think about it, the Mesillas Yesharim tells us that all those challenges, they're there to bring out our growth. And Hashem specifically planted them there for a reason. If it's poverty on the one hand or wealth on the other hand, if it's health on the one hand or sickness, chas v'shalom, every single thing, every situation that we find ourselves in our lives, says this Mesillas Yesharim, is there to bring out and untap new potential, new koiches, new strength that we didn't realize that we had but are latent inside of us. And I think that's why we connect to the script in this way, because we have those challenges in our lives. And if we manage to live up to those challenges, then just like, when you walk out of a film and you feel, wow, that hero, he overcame that hurdle, and you feel inspired and awestruck by what greatness that person reached in our lives. When we, please God, utilize all the challenges and realize they're not a mistake, they're not just bad luck, but they're orchestrated by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the infinite, the Ein Sof, specifically and precisely for our situation. If we realize that and don't run away from them, but tackle them head on and think, how can I grow? Then instead of just being inspired for a few minutes as we are after our film, we'll be singing and dancing for eternity, having created that hero that each of us can be.
Wow. What a story. And what a incredible journey that you've been on, Rabbi Roth. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Hillel.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this incredible projects that you have endeavored, and nice to know what's coming on the horizon. Everyone stay tuned and check it out, TorahLive.com. Thank you for joining us on Kolot, and much success in everything that you do.
And you, Hillel. Thank you for your time.
To listen to all Kolot episodes and see upcoming guests, visit kolotpodcast.com. We are also on all podcast players. Type in Kolot on iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Podbean, and Amazon. Share with your friends, and please make sure to give us a 5-star review. Kolot is a project of the Columbus Community Kollel, a full-time Jewish learning center in Bexley, staffed with high-caliber Torah scholars. Ever since 1995, boys, girls, men, and women from all backgrounds and affiliations have found many opportunities to connect with Torah and mitzvos at the Kollel. Whether it's a study partner, an engaging lesson, or a program, the Kollel is your one-stop shop for all your Jewish learning. If you want to know how you can benefit from the Kollel, visit thekollel.org. That is TheKollel.org, and forever be inspired.